Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and to my new desk setup. For those of you who are new here, my name is Amber. I'm a wellness chef from New York City, currently living in Kyoto, Japan. And on this channel, we talk about all things living in Japan, exploring Japan, as well as occasionally do cooking with Japanese tea. Today, we're talking about how I got a teaching job in Japan with no experience and how you can do it too. So I had a bachelor's degree in psychology and pre-medical science. I went to culinary school and was working as a chef when I got my job as an English teacher in Japan. So I really had zero experience. So how did I do it? Well, once I decided that English teaching was the best option for me to move to Japan, I started researching companies. I researched which had the most reasonable salaries, the most benefits, the best time off, and things like that. I narrowed it down to 3 companies and started checking to see if I was eligible. They all had generally the same requirements, which were a bachelor's degree, must be interested in Japan, must be physically and mentally healthy, and so on. My answers were generally yes to all of these questions, and teaching experience was actually not on the list for any of them. It was, however, listed on the bottom of the page as like things that will help your application. Yeah, it looks good on your application to have the teaching experience, but it's not necessarily required. So in theory, I met all of these qualifications. I did, however, want my application to stand out, and if you're applying to these positions too, you probably also want your application to stand out. So here's what I did, and my first tip, which is think of an experience that you had that resembles teaching and write it on your cover letter. So write about how you felt and how it affected you when teaching a thing. It could be anything, like I helped my little brother with his math homework, I was babysitting the neighbor's kids and I taught them about Japanese culture through anime, I taught my dogs tricks. It could be literally anything. So in my case, I remembered when I was a college student, I had to do 100 hours of volunteer work, and I did mine at the early childhood center that was on the campus of my school. So yeah, it was basically just glorified babysitting, but in my cover letter, I wrote a captivating tale about how I learned patience and how it was rewarding watching the students grow, and how I was going to take that and apply it to my teaching in Japan thing. So yeah, even if you don't technically have teaching experience, everyone has taught something at some point in their life. Just use that and stretch it as much as you can in your cover letter. I'm not saying lie, but just talk about an experience that you had and try to relate it and connect it to teaching English to kids in Japan. Your cover letter is really important, which brings me to my second point, which is write a killer cover letter and have it proofread. So we don't have that shiny teaching experience on our resume. We have to make the rest of our resume as perfect as possible. You definitely don't want to have spelling and grammar mistakes on your resume or cover letter when you are in fact applying to be an English teacher. So after I finished my cover letter, I had it proofread by 3 friends who I knew were good writers. I had them look it over, then they gave me feedback. I took their feedback into consideration and revised it, and then gave it back to them. They looked at it again, and we did this several times because yeah, I was just really making sure it was perfect. Don't worry, I bought them lunch as payment for helping me. So yeah, I feel that was super helpful for making my application look as good as possible. So the next tip is for the interview process. So if all goes well with the application, you will get a call for a pre-interview screening. I had to do this with all 3 of the companies I applied for, and in this call, they're just making sure that you qualify with visa purposes and that you're really committed to moving to Japan and that you didn't just like send this application on a whim. So that should be pretty straightforward and easy. And once you pass that, you will move on to the actual interview stage. In the interview, you will likely be required to do a teaching demo. I had to do them for all 3 of my interviews. So yeah, what do you do if you have no teaching experience? How are you going to kill this teaching demo? The next tip is to practice the F out of the teaching demo. So usually they'll give you the contents beforehand. I think only one of them didn't give me the contents beforehand. So what I did, I searched on YouTube, teaching English in Japan teaching demo. And a lot of people who had gotten the job had posted their demos. I basically just copied their demos and practiced it over and over and over again. So I did this by recording myself and seeing where I made mistakes and then trying that again. So yeah, when it came time for the interview, I felt super confident because I had already done the demo so many times. Besides the teaching demo, the interview process actually wasn't that hard. I felt like it was mostly a personality check. The teaching methods can be taught to anyone, but because you're going to be teaching English and likely to kids, they're looking for people who are approachable and energetic, which I know can be hard if you're an introvert like me. In real life, I am actually an introvert. So yeah, the final tip is to just be yourself, but the most friendly and energetic version of yourself possible. Practicing this in the mirror beforehand can also be helpful. Anyone can be taught to teach using their teaching methods. They're really just looking for personality and commitment to this point. Commitment is another thing that they're looking for because they don't want to pay for someone to relocate them across the world to start this job and then they just end up coming back because they don't like it. I have a video on the companies that I recommend applying to based on all of the research that I did when I was applying to these jobs, and I did a lot of research. If you want to know more about that, I recommend checking out this video here. Or is it here? I never know which side. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Good luck on your applications, and if you have any questions at all, please leave them down in the comments below and I will answer all of them. And yeah, that is it. So best of luck on your applications and I will see you next time. Bye bye.